Good evening, Synergy PWR viewers across the world. Welcome to Synergy PWR People's World Racing, and we're back for the race after a little bit of mayhem happening with the internet connection surrounding some of our drivers. We're back and we finally got the grid sorted out. We have the weather all ready and we are ready for racing at 20:51 to be exact. That's a couple of minutes time in the UK, of course. And it's going to be one exciting race indeed, and I can't wait because 18 runners in total for this Division 2 race, and I'm pleased to be sat alongside the Division 2 world champion from last season and of course Division 1 runner now in Hoonigan. Good evening to yourself, sir.
Good evening everybody, and good evening Jossa.
Good evening to you, and a big mighty good evening as well to the guy. He's not talking, he's not here, but he is certainly at the cameras in Silver Surfer. Thank you very much for the perfect and absolutely beautiful directing from yourself today, sir. So it is Baku. We had a little bit of a hickey, shall we say, a little bit of a hiccup with the internet connection surrounding some of our drivers, but 18 runners on the grid here tonight for this race at Azerbaijan, and because of how close it is, the drivers last season voted to make one of this and another track in Singapore alongside Monaco to be a track with full damage around the race. And of course I think that's going to definitely differ people's strategies, because of course that means the threshold for punctures is now going to be around about 90% upwards, so as well as affecting strategy. Do you feel like Hoonigan as a racer now, do you feel that's going to affect people's desire to go for that little bit of an overtake, perhaps take a more aggressive approach, or do you think people are going to be we're going to race exactly as we normally would?
I think it will stay largely the same, but I do think you'll get the opportunist who might think, ooh, it's full damage, I can make that. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
It's going to be certainly an interesting race for sure. Like I said, 20:51 now, so the drivers now are eligible to ready up. Will Hamster will be the first person usually to ready up, just to make sure that obviously there are no issues with people getting confused about when to ready up and so on. A few circumstances to make note of as people are now starting to ready up on the grid. PWR Shadow down the order, currently leading the championship as well, as far as I'm aware. Yes, he is, because he's got 3 podiums in a row, and in fact 3 second places in a row for that matter, with 2 fastest laps. He's leading the championship and currently down in, I believe, 13th place. I'll just double check that one. He's, in fact, no, he's lower than that. He's 14th place in the Racing Point, behind his teammate Strategic Herpes in 13th. So that's going to be a very interesting one. And Vickolous 0.5 of a second faster than the second place runner in Resolutionary. It's certainly going to make for an interesting race to see how the current leader will do. Otherwise, Vickolous could be on his way here to taking the lead in the championship. 6 points separating him from Shadow. How do you reckon Shadow's going to approach this race? Do you think he's going to be a lot more cautious and try and take as many points as he can for damage limitation? Or do you think he's going to go all out there to try and win off Vickolous?
I think he's going to get to where he feels comfortable, where he can score the most amount of points. Look, from 14th to win the race, that would be some achievement, and we have seen it done in real life F1. But then again, you never know with esports. It's funny. You'll have a good lap one lap, you'll have an absolutely terrible lap the next, and you might break it from wing. So you've got to play it as safe as possible.
Yeah, it would be safe as possible, you reckon? And I think, thankfully, they've played it safe as possible, making sure that no penalties are handed to the starting and incorrect tyre, because HB Suppressor, KGS Leftover, and George both, all three of them, starting on the soft tyres, because that's what they set their Q2 lap on. Everyone else on mediums. However, we do have a few hard starters in Paul Davey and Mike David, both having a hard tyre on their car, while everyone else on the mediums, and of course the 3 people only choosing to be on the softs because they are forced to do so. Anyone starting on the soft, surely that's going to make a little bit of a issue to their strategy, because tyre wear around here is awful.
Yeah, I think what Mike's trying to do is he's trying to extend his first stint as much as possible, because he's going to do a hard to medium strategy, I feel, or even a hard to soft. But I do believe the softs last a very little amount of time around this track, so it's going to be a close one.
few people now starting to get themselves around the track. A couple of other people to make note of very quickly. Tyre in P11 and Paul David P12, the two Toro Rosso runners, having a cracking team effort between the two of them, really, really close in the battle for P11 in that qualifying session. Mike David down in P15 because of crash, apparently very slow speed crash, lost his tyre as a result. And a big shout out as well to Richie Evans on his debut here tonight. He starts at the back in P18 in the Haas, and the rest of the drivers now approaching onto the grid very quickly. Do you have any early favourites to take this race?
I think Vickolous is going to want to take this race, but Resolutionary and SF1 Sean's, they're very like-minded people. They're very committed, so it's going to be interesting. So
certainly going to be an interesting race of drivers now lining up on the grid, and we're counting down the lights. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a go. The drivers hit. Hayes actually jumping the start, so she ends up having to get a drive-through penalty as a result of that. That's a disastrous point for the Mercedes, but there's a bit of a collision between the Red Bull and the Mercedes, and Resolutionary takes the lead, but Sean's now in
Vic's lost 2 places. Vic's all over the place.
Lost 2 positions, 3, 4. He's losing tons of positions as a result. Great racing at the moment happening between the two Red Bulls. They go side by side, P1, P2 for them. Mogdog P3. Great opportunity here for Mogdog to make himself known and get himself back onto the thing. And we've got other people around the area. Paul Davey has damage, and people manage to get through. Richie Evans making the position up as well, so good positions around. Positions gained in and around the field. 1 position gained for everyone. Vickolous though losing 3, and Purple Haze losing 1, but she's got a jump start penalty to take over. Hamster losing position, and George losing 2. Though gaining 4 on those hard tyres. Very, very good start from him in the Ferrari.
Yeah, very, very good start. I don't know what happened to Vic, but he must have just had a bad run going into that first corner. But this has played well into the hands of Resolutionary and SF1 Sean's, because now they can control the race, because it's a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment, so they can now control the race and control the pace. So if Sean's wanted to put a lap earlier than Resolutionary, they need to start thinking about that.
Certainly going to be an interesting race. So as it develops now, we've got 1 position gain for all of the top 3. Sector 2 yellow flags wave for a car that's going a little bit doolally at the moment. So we do have PWR Shadow at the moment lagging on my screen at the moment, so it's causing a little bit of issue here for a few of the drivers. So fingers crossed that's not going to cause too many issues. But as it stands at the moment, a couple of positions getting Mike David managing to get a position. He's up to P10 on the hard tyres, and obviously Mike David
going
known for being a little
bit
iffy. Mike David losing that one, and then you have Vickolous and Mongdog going side by side, as you're saying there. Vickolous now up to P3 after losing that position, losing those positions rather, to P1 and P2, so he'll begin to push, and Purple straight into pits to serve her drive-through penalty, whilst everyone else is going to be getting wing changes, including the debutant in George in the Williams. He's having to get a wing change, as well as strategic herpes as well. So yeah, really unfortunate stuff for Purple Haze here. So she's going to have to start putting an egg game together. She's now going to have a 2-stop with only 1 extra second. So yeah, really unfortunate stuff for the Mercedes.
Yeah, there's going to be a long race ahead, but she needs to just get her head down and think as best she can. So she hasn't had to change tyres, which is a good thing, so she can keep on her original strategy, but it has hampered her.
Sending all of my regards as well to SF1. Sean's going through a little bit of a difficult time at the moment, and he continues on racing at Synergy PWR People's World Racing. Now up to P2, so fingers crossed that's going to help him push on in his career, obviously, throughout this difficult time as well. Vickolous in P3 with Mongdog in P4, with Sufyan on his debut in P5. What a race from him so far, holding on to that P5 at the moment. But what a run, though. You've got PWR Shadow. He's 7th position on the medium tyre rather, and you've got Mike David on the hards. He's gained 6, and you've got PWR Infamous on medium tyres. He's gained 7. So they'll be really, really happy with that one, I think. But overall, at the moment, you've got one person trying to gain back other positions that he lost at the start, and that man is Vickolous, because he's going now down the straight, and he's got a really good toe off the Red Bull in overtake mode. He's going to go around the outside of one to hopefully have the outside of racing line. He breaks later than SF1. SF1 Sean, what a move. Sufyan trying to go around the outside of Mondo, HP Suppressor, sorry, and HP Suppressor does manage to get the move done there, but at this moment in time, Sean's and Vickolous, what a move from Vickolous around the outside of one to try and hold on to gain his position back, and he's looking to try and hold on. He breaks later than Resolutionary, and he's breaking a lot later, and it's great racing.
Down the inside.
Sufjan going around the inside and makes a move complete. Tries to do a switchback. HP suppressor on soft tyres, bear in mind. He tries to hold on to the inside and might have caught Sufjan napping a little bit, actually, and has forced him into a position to defend when he didn't really need to. And he might have the inside here heading into 6 and 7, and he loses and locks up around the rears, actually, on that particular occasion. And the Renault stays behind Sufjan. It's excellent defending from the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, very good defending there, as you can see, for everybody watching.
Oh, it's a mistake from Sufjan Castle. They can't go side by side.
Oh,
here.
no, he goes side. No, he can't do that.
And Sufjan really should have handed the position there. He should have given up the position, I feel, the Alfa Romeo, but I think the steward no doubt will be sending a clip in to have a look at that one. But now Sufjan is in a position where Shadow might be able to get past the Alfa Romeo here, and the Alfa Romeo has got tons of wing damage as a result, and Sufjan is, yeah, he's holding off. He's giving all the positions up here at this rate. There's no point holding on. He's going to have to pit, and a set of hard tyres, I feel, to the end now for the Alfa Romeo. He'll be bitterly disappointed with that one. He was on for a good race, and I think he just was holding on to a position that just wasn't his.
Yeah, as you can see now, it's lap 3. The DRS is enabled. As you can see, Vickolous using it to great effect to try and get around Resolutionary. Little letterbox in the rear wing started to open, going round the outside of turn 1. It's quite interesting.
Oh, it's very late braking.
Oh, it's gone very late on the brakes there.
Both have gone very late there, and I think Vickolous might have actually done himself a favour by braking early, because Resolutionary is holding on for dear life here. DRS available and open. There's a 5-second time penalty for Sufjan into the pits to change his front wing. Vickolous straight into ERS4 to try and make the overtake. Trying to move up on the inside. That's very, very close on the inside. Surely he's going to lose the position. Switchback, and there's Resolutionary. Great racing from the Red Bull, and here he comes again and again. Vickolous just braking too late, and Sean's is now up on the inside, and Mongdog might be in a position here to take the overtake here, going through into 6, and he goes around the outside, maybe in a switchback. No way he can make an overtake there, and Vickolous through to P3. What an amazing race happening here now from the front 4.
Yeah, it's Resolutionary the big winner in this race, because now she's pulled out and she's pulled that 1 second gap, so now P2 will not have to. Oh, Vickolous made a mistake!
Vickolous into the castle, and that is going to cause major front wing damage, surely, and now Mongdog.
5-second time penalty.
And he's got a 5-second time penalty as well as a result of that. Maybe that will get wiped off, because Mongdog really didn't foresee the crash happening, and Vickolous no doubt is going to lose that position, and there goes Mongdog, and Vickolous making that one mistake, and now he's got major front wing damage, a big wing damage, full damage here, not simulation here tonight, and HP Suppressor now up to P4. Make note, PWR Shadow always finished in 2nd place no matter what this season, now up to P6. 8 positions gained for him. What a race so far, and he could be up to P5 because he's just up the rear now of Vickolous with that major front wing damage. He's going to lose a little bit of time going through there, surely, and surely Vickolous is now going to have to come in for the pits and change that front wing, and Shadow is going to get DRS, and now he's going to be able to get in that battle for P3 at the moment, as Mongdog is getting up close and personal, and he has to change his front wing because of that collision with Vickolous. So now they're both coming into the pit. Shadow up to P4 and Hamster up to P5 as Mongdog gets caught out by the speed limit as well.
Yeah, it's what a 4th lap that was. Now you can see the DRS, as I was saying before that happened, as if you go out, if you break the 1 second barrier between you and the car in front or behind, the DRS is not available. You have to be within 1 second of the car in front to use DRS.
Indeed, interesting. That Shadow up to
PWR Shadow and
now.
HP Suppressor.
Yeah, I was just saying there, HP Suppressor now up to P3 with Shadow now in P4, 10 positions gained for him, 10 positions gained also for the other Renault, PWR Intimacy now up to P7 as well, and Suppressor does have front wing damage as well, but as it stands at the moment, both Red Bulls now on for a 1-2 finish, and Resolutionary on only a 2nd race in Synergy PWR, currently on a win, 2 seconds in front of Sean's, and they're both, I believe, on the same strategy as well, medium tyres.
Yeah, they're both on medium tyres now. They need to play the team game. They need to put one early. They need to find a gap. So they need to put one. They've got a bit of a gap to Mongdog down in P11 if they were to pit now. But I can guarantee that's not going to happen.
Sector 2 yellow flags waved as well, unsure, and that is for Strategic Herpes, who has spun out in Sector 2, and he's lost it coming out of Turn 7, I believe. And Turn 6 rather, heading into Turn 7. So he is going to have some kind of wing damage, and he's on fresh hards as well. So that's really going to mess up his strategy at the moment. PWR Shadow going for the overtake on HP Suppressor. HP Suppressor does have structured damage though to his front wing. And PWR Shadow, as a
surprised
result,
there
is
that
going to get... He's now up to P3, and surely Resolutionary and SF1 Sean's are going to be looking over the backs, because that racing point is looking rapid at the moment. HB Suppressor on soft tyres, though, they're going to wear out very thin, and the problem is as well, with those wing damage, it's also going to give him a little bit of an issue as regards being able to maintain tyre wear. One person to keep an eye out on, though, Mike David. He is on hard tyres and up to 6th place. Bearing in mind he started P15, so he's gained 9 positions and he's on hard tyres, so he's going to be a dark horse in this race, I feel, in that Ferrari, as will Mondog. He's now on hard tyres to the end as well. He's not out of it at the moment, but the problem is Sufjan is got the fastest lap of the race and he's on soft tyres, but they surely will wear thin by the end of about the 6th lap, I would suspect. So it's definitely getting really, really close. And Hamster now getting in the mix now for P4 as HB Suppressor really struggling with that front wing damage.
Yeah, you can see the understeer going through some of these corners for HB Suppressor. Not having that end plate on the wing really does hamper the car. You can see he's hemorrhaging buckets of time to HB Suppressor. Pulled out a 2-second gap.
He's trying to make the one-stop work, I would suspect. He's trying to push his soft as much as he can so then he can go on to a reasonable one-stop. He's lost the rear end through there, locking the rear end. He needs to work with that differential. HB Suppressor has actually been really had a few issues with his differential setup, I feel, so far this season. His rears keep locking up. And with that front wing damage as well, it's only going to add to more misery in that Renault. And you can see going through turns 19, and then you can see that the McLaren could just easily gain all that time through those fast corners here. The issue is we now have a Ferrari of Mike David now coming in. HB Suppressor's had enough. He's coming to the pits. Mike David now up to P5 on those hard tyres. That's 10 positions gained in 7 laps. What a choice from the Ferrari to go up to the hard tyres. He's gambled, I reckon, on a lot of people making mistakes, and it's probably worked for him.
Oh, Hamster's gone a bit wide into turn 2 there, so that's going to hamper him down the straight here. As remember, the Hamster does not have DRS now, whereas Mike David does.
Vickolous now down to P13 though. Yeah, HB Suppressor now coming out of the pits. Is he actually going to get in front of Vickolous here? I think this is quite important here because he has got in front of Vickolous here, and he's on medium tyres, whereas Vickolous is also on the medium tyres but 2 laps older, which may not seem like quite as much now, but when you're heading towards the latter end of this tyre stint, Vickolous is really going to struggle compared to HB Suppressor.
There's a mistake there for Sufjan and Mondog.
And Sufjan and Mondog getting into collisions there.
I don't know what's going on behind, but they've just plowed them through.
Sufjan, I think I just managed to capture what happened at the very end of that. It looks like Sufjan was trying to hold on to the inside line. It looks like they both ended up taking the escape road as a result because they both late braked heading into turn number 5 rather. So I think that may be a little bit of an error from the both of them in that racing scenario. But Mondog again with the mistake, and now he's going to be heading down the order, and I hope this doesn't retaliate now all the way through the rest of the race.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, this track can cause issues, but let's just hope Mondog can soldier on and push through. Purple Haze's race not looking so bad, is it?
No, not at all. Even with that drive-through penalty, she still has to pit though. Bear that in mind. She's now up to P9 and actually in front of Vickolous, but Vickolous getting really up close and personal with HB Suppressor at the moment down the order. It's really topsy-turvy though. The Red Bull's now doing a cracking job now, and actually Resolutionary starting to pull away from her teammate at the moment in SF1. Sean's 3.5 second gap between them two, 3.7.
A little bit too late there. No, just made the corner. Just thought good enough to back out of it just at the last second.
Ghostly Nebula, also a new driver heading into Synergy PWR People's World Racing in the Alfa Romeo. And looking to try and hold on to P8 at the moment, but Purple Haze is surely going to be able to make the move stick and make the move stick quite well. Early braking between the two of them to make sure the mistake doesn't happen like Mondog. And the other Alfa Romeo of Sufjan going too wide, easily done. Then going to maybe a bit of a switchback, but well defended from Ghostly Nebula. But a bit of a switchback means it's going to be a better traction available for the Mercedes. Oh, it just cuts right in front though, does Ghostly Nebula. Could be a bit of a risky move there. Could have resulted in quite a bit of an airborne crash between the two of them, but they do manage to stand at the moment. And it's certainly one of those tracks where people are struggling, and a couple of people struggling at the moment. The newbies, George, now coming in for his second pit stop of the race. He's now on medium tyres, and we have Sufjan as well coming out of the pits. He's coming out of the pits, and he's now down to P14. And I think again that's just a little bit greedy between the two of them, and I think that's the second mistake Sufjan has made through greed.
Yeah, it's just too many. Two wrongs don't make a right. If I can put that into context. So if you oh,
there goes
Herpes
Herpes.
crashed out of the race.
Yeah, there goes herpes. Unfortunate stuff there, I think, between the two of them, as you were saying. But you were absolutely right. In the 2 rounds don't make a right. In that circumstance, you can't just barrel yourself down the inside expecting to take the position, because if you do end up getting into a mistake with someone, you could be liable to some penalties from the stewards, and I've got no doubt there'll be a few clips of Sufyan here. It looks certainly to be one of the more aggressive drivers at Synergy PWR People's World Racing. DRS Open now for the Mercedes of Purple Haze, trying to get past the Alfa Romeo, and a lot of traction as well heading into turn 1 around this Mercedes, as Vickolous now up to P10 as he gains a position from HB Suppressor.
We've got round about the same amount of ERS, Ghostly and Purple around here. As you can see, the
hovering around 20 and 25%. You're right.
Yeah, the Alpha, though, I feel is just going to be losing a little bit more engine power, seeing as that the ERS is below 20% for Ghostly, so that's generally where these cars lack a bit of power. So this is going to be a battle to keep an eye out for the rest of the race.
Like I said, for myself, I'm seeing a bit of lag, but that might be on my part, to be fair. And you're going through turn 6 and heading into turn 7 now to the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo, and still very close and close and personal between the two of them. Make note as well, a potential battle may be brewing as well for the likes of Mike David and PWR Hamster soon. And HB Suppressor still on the rear end of Vickolous as well. So Vickolous' P10 is not 100% guaranteed at the moment, but as it stands, PWR Shadow, well down the order at the start, is now on his position to extend his lead in the championship by a significant margin as well. As it stands, 14 points.
He's going for the overtake on SF1 Sean's. Sean's must have
no
damage.
Way.
Sean's has damage.
Sean may have damage as well, because he's lost a lot of time, and he has got damage. He's got no front wing at all, I think. He's lost a lot of end plates, has that Red Bull, and he's now having to come in. I don't know what's happened with Sean's, but he's made a mistake, and now that 1-2 for Red Bull is now under some severe pressure, and Hamster now onto the podium positions, with Mike David on the hard tyres, starting down in P15, now up to P4 is the Ferrari, and what a run it is from the hard tyres. He gambled on people making mistakes, did Mike David. He just needs to make sure he didn't make any himself. And it's working, and Purple Haze does manage to get past Ghostly Nebula eventually, and now she's up to P7 and currently outracing her teammate Vickolous by 2 positions, as SF1 Sean's is now coming out behind Vickolous, but in front of HB Suppressor. What a row of 9th, 10th and 11th this is.
That's just given Vickolous a bit of breathing space there from HB Suppressor. The Suppressor now will be
starting to manage his tyres. Section 1 yellow flags waved, a bit unsure who that is. I believe it's Ghostly Nebula making a mistake. Oh dear, so Ghostly Nebula was in a real battle with Purple Haze, and I think he's gone down the escape road there to avoid any wing damage, and I'm just taking a look at his car, and he has got no damage whatsoever, so I think he's just outbroke himself on his own accord. And I think he's just made that mistake himself, and now he's down to P11. And again, I think we're starting to see people just mixing their braking zones just that little bit, and when you're around a track like here, it's going to punish you really badly.
Yeah, well, you start to think, yes, maybe I can brake a little bit later into this corner, and then you realise that you carry in, yes, you carry a little bit less fuel, so you can brake later, but you're still carrying a lot of fuel, so you've got to maintain your braking points for a vast majority of this race.
And it's not just that as well, of course, but the tyres are also going to be wearing thin as well, especially if you're on the medium tyres. Now 10 laps old as we start this round number 4 race, of course, lap number 10 of round number 4 at Synergy PWR People's World Racing at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. And what a race it has been from start to finish so far. Survey Resolutionary currently running away with the race at the moment. Her second race in Synergy PWR, 6.7 seconds away from Shadow, who Shadow himself actually started 12 positions down in P14. What a move from him so far. Mike David gaining 11 himself, and you're all right, PWR Infamous now in the pits himself now, so that could be one to watch, and he's on fresh medium, so it's a two stop from the Renault. That is a very interesting one. That could turn a few heads as well as Sector 1 yellow flags waved again, and that is for Vickolous has crashed and he's retired on track as well. He's retired from the track as well, and I think that's from frustration. He's had a really poor race, has Vickolous, from pole position, and he's going to get a penalty point for that, and I think he might be getting some more as well for that as well, because I do believe that the Synergy is going to be changing its rules as regards of retiring on track, so he may end up being penalised for that, because of course if you retire on track it could bring out the safety car, and if that happens he's going to change the whole race for the whole team, and that would be bitterly disappointing, though as it stands at the moment it doesn't look like we're going to have a safety car, thankfully.
No, they're very, very lucky there from Vickolous to not cause a safety car, but it could have very well been a safety car.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've got Richie Evans now in the pits. It's a fresh set of mediums for him. Really, really shocking stuff at the moment happening in and around. Now we're down now one driver, sector 1, yellow flags waving, and Mongdog is also out of the race
as
well. Oh man!
Oh, he's crashed.
I don't know where.
Hamster? No. Phew. I thought Hamster had crashed.
No, it's
Hamster
Mongdog has crashed. Mongdog has crashed in the third sector. That's his third DNF in a row now for Synergy PWR. Really, really bad luck there from the McLaren. He finishes without a finish, as I said, in the last 3 races. George gets his 3-second time penalty for his troubles as well. He's down in P14. Sector 3, yellow flags wave. Thankfully, no change as regards to the safety car being called out, as we have Teo Vespa. We failed to mention Teo Vespa. He's actually done a very clean race so far on those medium tyres. He comes in, and it is a set of hards for him until the end of the race. New front wing for him as well. Vickolous, though, shocking stuff. He's made a mistake heading into, I believe it might have been turn 5, and he's just gone down the escape road, and I think he's just sort of gave up. I think he didn't give up early enough into the corner, and as a result, he's put himself in a position with no front wing, and he's just retired on track, which you're not meant to do.
Yeah, no, it's very, very poor showing from Vic there. He does know better, but you know, heat of the moment. You're really frustrated. You just want to get out of it as quick as possible.
Heat of the moment.
Just going to say here, Mike David on his hards. Mike David on his hards. We are going to see a crossover path in the next, I'd say.
I did say it.
2 or 3 laps, I think.
I did say though that Mike David is going to be a dog horse in this race, and he's up to P4 from P15, to be fair to him. So he's actually running a very good race, and another person running a very good race now. He did have wing damage as a result of an incident that happened, I believe, on the 10th lap. SF1 Sean's now less than a second down on Purple Haze, heading through turn 16 into 17, and Purple Haze now is going to be having to defend off the Red Bull, and these two are really close with each other. I think it was Purple Haze who actually brought Sean into Synergy PWR People's World Racing, and now we're going to see an overtake, and what a move here from Red Bull, actually. Great exit out of 18, and Hamster is pitting, and it's hard tyres, resolutionary hard tyres. Mike David now takes the lead of this race with Shadow in the hard tyre as well, but Hamster committing to a 2-stop. He's on hard tyre. Wait,
he's on a hard tyre. He's on a hard tyre.
It was on medium tyres, appeared on my screen for a second, but no, it is hard tyres, so
yeah,
one stopping.
The game does that, which I find very strange.
Very crucially, though, HP Suppressor has actually got out in front of PWR Hamster by only
Purple Haze is
fitted
for a set of hards. She's going to the end of the race, and she's gotten out ahead of PWR Infamous. She needs
to get out in front here. She needs to get out in front of Infamous here, and it's very close because there's a battle happening between Infamous and Ghostly Nebula. Purple Haze really needs to hold on to this position here, and she tries to hold up off the inside on the racing line, and she doesn't give the space. She doesn't have to in this circumstance, and Purple Haze going there, and Infamous makes the mistake and gives Ghostly Nebula a position, and there's definitely some front wing damage there, surely, for Infamous. He's just hit the front, and no, he's just got away with it, I think. Heading through there, he definitely just touched the wall. There's brought Teo Vespa on hard tyres into it as well. Really, really close and really crucial that Purple Haze held on to that position in order for her strategy to work. The PWR Hamster has got behind HB Suppressor, and that is not going to help it. I know HB Suppressor is on a 2-stop, but he doesn't have to give the position up in this circumstance. He's going to start pulling away from Hamster, and he needs to pull away fast, otherwise Hamster could be in a bit of bother here, rather, to hold on to a podium here, because remember, Sean's
Resolutionary going for it on Mike David, but 12-lap younger hards. Mike David going to make it hard for it to pass, though.
I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Mike David actually, he's not. I thought he was coming into the pits actually, but he chooses not to and decides to brake a little bit. In fact, he's not defending here though. He's decided to let off the gas a little bit early there, and I think he's just holding on to P2 now, and he's not going to be on the better tyre here.
No, he's thinking about his strategy here. He's used Resolutionary very well actually to gain some DRS, so he can actually gain some time on P3. So Mike's just biding his time now. He's going to come in on lap,
you'd suspect, around about lap 16 to 18, wouldn't he?
Yeah. For a set, in theory, he can use a set of softs now to the end of the race from about lap 17.
Interesting stuff as well. Now, because Vickolous has now not scored, all HB Suppressor needs is P3. If he takes P3, on this two-stop strategy, he actually overtakes Vic in the standings, and Vic will get relegated to P3 in the championship as well. So this is a good opportunity for HP Suppressor to close down the gap on the top two, but as it stands at the moment, PWR Shadow on the fresher hard tyres surely is one to watch here to get himself back on the podium, and as it stands as well, it could be for another P2 finish.
He could be, because he's put that set of hards on. He's used his hand very well. In those opening laps, he made up all the positions he could possibly make up, and through other drivers' mistakes, that's what's put him in this prime position.
Mike David is certainly a driver to watch.
There's a bit of a mistake there from HP Suppressor. He's actually got wing damage as Suppressor.
HP Suppressor now has actually got wing damage, as you said. Yes, he is. He's missing an end plate on the right side, and we've seen a lot of end plates being taken out here. No way he's going to be able to go for the overtake through 17. He's going to have to hold on for 18 as there's a bit of a collision, and then Hamster hitting the wall a little bit.
Hamster's not got any damage from that, luckily.
Not going to cause any damage, and hopefully I think that might be as a result of having full damagulation. I don't think the nudge was really necessary, and HP Suppressor nudges his way back through to P5, but he has wing damage, and PWR Hamster really needs to get past this Renault as fast as possible, otherwise it's going to end up costing him possibly a podium as it stands.
I think what happened there with HP Suppressor is he downshifted way too fast and he locked the rear axle again because he got some oversteer out of that corner.
Curiously,
Hamster might go around the outside here. No, he's going to Hamster switch back. Around the outside should be
really good move around the outside.
Very good overtake there from Hamster. Very good.
Fantastic overtake from the McLaren, and he gets past HP Suppressor. Good work from Hamster, and great racing through turn 5 and 6, going around the outside does the McLaren, and now on those medium tyres, which are now aging for that Renault. Surely he's going to start losing time here, but Hamster has lost buckets of time on the rest of the field here, and it's actually going to bring Mike David into the position here to look for a potential podium. SF1 Sean's no way he's going to be able to get those mediums to the end without having to really lose time in tyre saving, so surely he's going to have to pit again. So you'd suspect that SF1 Sean's might be out of here. There's a sector 1 yellow flag, and that's for a collision between Ghostly Nebula and Paul Davey again at turn 5. Seems like there's of issues happening at turn 5 and a collision happening between the two of them, I think, making a mistake.
Damage by the looks of things. Yeah, no damage for either driver there, which is very lucky escape for those two drivers. Mike David pitting.
Yes, Mike David curiously pitting, and I think he started to realise the fact that Hamster is obviously in a position now where he's probably going to gain the position back off Mike David is not the problem here. The problem for Hamster, of course, is he's going to be on 3-lap hards versus Mike David's fresh softs. But the problem is HP Suppressor is going to be the keystone here in this, and Purple Haze is not going to be able to get in front of Mike David. That means Mike David overall has gained 9 positions in this race, which is fantastic racing, and he's going to be on the better tyre.
Yeah, there was a very good gap there for Mike David to slot into for the overtake, to make these all these overtakes.
Oh, HP Suppressor!
Oh, it's HP Suppressor!
5. He's
that's helped Mike David out.
And again, HP Suppressor and driver really struggling at turn 5. People aren't able to race or just generally drive around turn 5, and a big lock-up from the Renault is take the escape road, and Mike David on the fresh mediums now on the chase for PWR Hamster, a gap of 4 seconds, and Sean's going to have to pit. I told you, stuck behind Suppressor for so long might have cost him the podium, and it's looking likely.
Yeah, SF1 Sean's I definitely think he's going to have to pit again. In theory, he could pit now and put a set of softs on, but the softs just die out so quickly on this track that you don't really want to use them.
PWR Shadow gap 3.9 seconds, exactly the same tyres to Resolutionary. This would be his 4th second place in a row. It'd be his 4th second place in a row. It would be for Shadow. Does he push and try and go for the win, or does he just consolidate second place again?
I think what he needs to do is bide his time. I think putting all this pressure on Resolutionary in only her realistically second race in Synergy, I think putting the pressure on Resolutionary, knowing that he's there, he's within a time penalties gap, will possibly push her into making some sort of mistake which could open the door for PWR Shadow. But knowing Resolutionary from what I've saw in China, she's a very calm and collected driver, so she shouldn't have any problems with trying to keep PWR Shadow behind.
Thank you very much, Hypernova, commenting in the chat at the moment, seeing your comments coming through left, right and centre, actually, which is a bit of a shock, because usually I can't see people's comments. People saying, you know, why aren't you mentioning me in your comments? It's because I can't see you. I don't know why it's not appearing, but I can see Hypernova talking a lot here, and he thinks that Sean's can go to the end on these medium tyres, and theoretically speaking, 16 laps, he probably could go to the end, but they're going to be very, very worn, and he's going to be quite slow, so he's going to have to really look after his tyres if he wants to do well. But as it stands at the moment, he's looking for P3. Hamster may end up closing down the gap on him, and we've got Mike David also closing down the gap now down to 3.9. Make note, by the way, currently PWR Shadow gained a second on Resolutionary in that lap alone, now down to 3.1 seconds, but I want to add, Resolutionary has been pushing on her
one yellow
ERS.
flag.
Shadow.
Oh, Paul Davies made a mistake at turn 1. Turn 2. Sorry.
Paul Davies. So Paul Davies now going to be on for being lapped very shortly, I believe. But as I was saying, yeah, Resolutionary is starting to push on her was pushing on her ERS, and is now down to 32%. Whereas Shadow isn't. He's learned from what's happened at China into looking after his ERS, and now it's starting to hit. It's starting to work for him. He's now down to 2.7 seconds, and he's gaining buckets of time on Resolutionary, whereas Resolutionary's ERS strategy in trying to save it, not doing the best job. So I think Shadow's learned from the mistake at China.
Yeah, he's made some small adjustments to Shadow to improve his racing, and you can see that helping him massively here. Putting it down into ERS 1 or 0 into corners is really helping his traction out of the corners, whereas Resolutionary, yes, she's doing the same thing, but she may be putting more strain on her tyres.
Very interesting stuff indeed. Make note, Vickolous still has the fastest lap of the race at the moment, so as it stands, nobody will be getting the fastest lap point. However, of course, if it goes faster, they will. So, big thank you to the director for making note of that one. However, PWR Shadow, 2.7 seconds away from the lead here, as Resolutionary currently leading, and she's up to ERS 4 actually, so she's really pushing on the straight where she feels that she's getting the best out of her car. Around the field at the moment, starting to see gaps form now. We've got Mike Davis allows everyone to actually have a breath, because it's been non-stop battling here. Sector 2 yellow flags wave, and that's for a battle with T.O. Vespa, who's put himself in the wall at Castle. So he's now missing a little end plate
his front wing,
and he does need a new front wing, and what a shame, because he's missing an entire right part of the wing, is Vespa, and he was having a really good race on those hard tyres. What a shame for the South African.
Yeah, he was in P7 there, really strong position. He'll come out, I believe, just ahead of George, or maybe just behind George, but he'll come out on a set of softs, and he'll be blitzing it up to try and get back in the points.
That's really unfortunate though for the Toro Rosso.
2.1 seconds now the gap in front,
and now gap 1.4. Resolutionary has made a mistake, and she does have wing damage. I'm keeping an eye out on it at the moment, and she has made a mistake, and I think she's starting to feel the pressure. She's now felt the pressure, I feel, of the racing point, and she's started to see, and she's missing a right end plate, and we've seen end plate being some real problems here. Resolutionary, does she gamble on pitting and going on to a set of mediums, or does she keep going? What do you think?
I think, seeing as there's only about 6 or so laps left, I'd try and stick it out, because she could be on for P2 here, because I don't think Sean's has enough. He's picking up pace enough to try and get at that P2 spot.
It's really opened up the door here.
He's going to have DRS on this lap.
He's going to have the DRS as well if he has a poor exit out of 13, and she has, look at the understeer going through 16 into 17. She's going to have to slow down going through 18 as well, and she's having to lift off surely going through there. There's no way, and she does actually get through no problem actually, so that's an incredible effort of the downfall of that Red Bull here. Is she going to pit? It certainly looks like it. This race has been blown wide open. No, she's staying out on the Red Bull. All right,
she's going to gamble it. She is going to gamble it.
I have been deceived. She was thinking about it, I think. She was thinking about it for sure. But Shadow is now on his way to potentially taking his first victory after 3 back-to-back second places. 2 fastest laps in that as well. This race has been blown completely wide open. Sean's in the pits, Hamster on the podium. Mike David not gaining as much time as I thought he would. And Sean's is on the soft, so surely he's going to be going for fastest lap. 6 laps, yeah, should be reasonably okay, you'd suspect. But Hamster is on the podium.
yeah, Hamster probably the biggest winner out of all of this, starting I think P4, 5, something like that. But yeah, he's it's glad to see him on the podium because he's probably
even lower
the
for
nicest
Hamster.
guy in Synergy.
Even lower for Hamster. He started P8, did Hamster, and he's on for P3
Did he?
as it stands. Yeah, he did. And Shadow, though, what a race from him himself. He's P14 starter. He's now up to Mike David started P15. He's up to P4. KJS Leftover started P9. He's up to P7. And
Oh, he just got on the power bit too early. He's
P10.
lost time.
He has lost a little bit of time, but he hasn't lost any end plate damage. He hasn't lost end plate, sorry, on the front wing, and Resolutionary is on the brink here. Gap now 0.4 of a second, and remember, been burning through all of ERS, and as a result has barely any ERS to be able to defend on the straights. Whereas Shadow, this is where he needed to use his ERS and keep it, you know, on the regroup, and managed to get his ERS back 87% on this main straight, and he's going to have the toe. And he's going to be really up close and personal up on the end of the gearbox of the Red Bull, and DRS is going to be open. He's up to ERS 4 in the overtake before the DRS zone. They're side by side going down the main straight, and Resolutionary has been overtaken. Shadow is in the lead.
Position. Having to George has crashed out.
There goes George on his debut. There goes, and then to Paul Davey making a mistake going through turn 2. That's no front wing damage as well. He's managed to recover from that though, but continuing around the field though towards the front. Sector 1 yellow flag swift, and I believe that is for Paul Davey with the front wing damage. PWR Shadow, amazing. He's managing to get himself into the lead of this race, and he's on for his first win. And Resolutionary making that one mistake, and with the lack of management on our ERS, Red Bull's 1-2 has now become a 2-5.
Yeah, there was. I believe they half played the team game. I know SF1 Sean's likes to be in a party chat with Purple Haze and Vickolous, I believe, and Resolutionary is in the main party, if you in effect, where you have the likes of Shadow, Hamster,
and a bit of a
Mike
mistake
David.
going through turn 1 with KGS Leftover. KGS Leftover going for a right dive into turn 1. I'm sure the director didn't see that, but going through turn 1, KGS Leftover went for a dive up the inside into turn 1. And that was just an awful move in my opinion, because it just wasn't going to happen. The gap was always going to close, and as a result, I think he's lost all of that wing damage, and as a result, he's just cost himself another pit stop, and he could be even far down here as P11. He could be out of the points as a result of that.
Yeah, well, this has actually helped Tio Vesper in his chase for his points finishes.
Shall I tell you one person we need to talk about for a second as well, while people are starting to gain traction on each other here? Purple Haze. She ended up jumping the start, ended up having to do a drive-through penalty, and is still in P6, and will be outracing her teammate because Vickolous made those mistakes and as a result DNF'd. I think Purple Haze has actually had a bit of a really good race considering the situations that happened around her.
Yeah, considering what happened at the start, I believe she's had a very solid race. She's been very consistent in her lap. She hasn't really gone up and down as some drivers would on various laps, or Richie retired from the session as well. But yeah, no, Purple Haze, she's had a really quiet but really solid race. She's going to bring in some massive points.
I think considering the situation with Vickolous as well, 8 points for Mercedes is going to do a world of good for Mercedes in the championship, but Red Bull were on their way to a 1-2 finish, and mistakes from Sean's and mistakes from Resolutionary has cost them a good 1-2 finish here, and Resolutionary now down to P2 and has major structural wing damage with a missing end plate, is going to bring down the gap with Hamster, though the gap with 19 seconds, you'd suspect Resolutionary will be able to take it on for a solid P2, but Shadow will finally be on for his win after 3 second places in a row, and he's about to get, I believe, DRS as well off a back marker.
Yeah, he might get DRS. I'm not sure he's close enough just yet through the detection point. That gap looks just a bit bigger than a second, but look, just bring the car home. Don't do anything unnecessary. Mike David's got DRS on Hamster here.
Oh, Sean's is really pushing for that fastest lap, and I've just caught him going through turn 15, and he's ploughed into the wall, and there's no way, I believe he's got away with it as well.
Yeah, he's managed to get away with it somehow. Mike David's going for the overtake.
Oh, it's really, really upsetting stuff here for PWR Hamster with 3 laps to go. He surely was going to...
Oh, Resolutionary's made a mistake!
Revolutionary making a mistake herself, but she's probably going to be okay going through there. And Mike David does make the overtake on PWR Hamster, and is now to P3 is Mike David on an amazing hard strategy. He was hoping that everyone around him would make mistakes. They have done, and Mike David is now on the brink of getting a podium position from P15 on the grid after making a mistake and crashing out of Q2. What a run from Mike. However, Hamster is coming up maybe around the inside. Nice, is he coming out of that one? And he's going to be holding on to ERS here.
Hamster.
Make note, though,
I don't know
Mike
what
David,
happened there.
This race isn't over though, Hoonigan, because you've got to think about it now. The gap is 4.5 tenths. Though PWR Hamster is on hard tyres, 10 laps old, Mike Davis on mediums, 7 laps old. That could cause a few issues as regards to tyre management if this goes wrong for Mike David, because of course Mike David is infamous for being a bit poor on tyre management, and at the moment he is holding his lines here, but he could end up in a few problems in about 2 or 3 laps time. There are still 3 laps to go.
Yeah, he could. I don't think the crossover point is there just yet. I think he's got a little bit more life left in those tyres.
And you've got to make note of one person as well, is SF1 Sean's, because now, and I think KGS Leftovers made a mistake, and again at turn 5.
Mistake. He needs to put
turn
he's got
5.
No front wing on the side, on the left-hand side there.
And that's really unfortunate, because that's going to bring Tio Vespa back into the points, actually, and that Toro Rosso is going to be very happy with that one, I think, even after that mistake he made. But going back to the battle, SF1 Sean's on soft tyres, now gap 1.2 to go to the end now, probably 6-lap old soft. Yeah, we should be alright, no cliff edge there, but the gap now is surely going to be shrinking, because Hamster is going to go around the inside here, and with these two battling, it's going to bring Sean into the mix here. Not going to leave a little bit of space is Mike, so he can have the outside and break a little bit later. And he does go around the outside, and very, very well defended from Mike. Of course, all he needs to do is just leave as much space as he can around the outside, and he does so, and he's allowed to hold on to P3. Great defending from Mike. Hamster now down to 6 tenths. Vespa now back into the points. Sean's now gap 1.3 with 2 laps to go. There is still a podium on the case for Sean's even after that mistake, and a 2-stop.
Yeah, it's Sean's making that mistake. It doesn't seem to have hampered his race in any way. I think what he's doing is, I think he's just in his own little bubble, and I think he's just racing. He's just enjoying his races. Now the gap's a second.
Just wanted to make a quick note as well. A chat coming in from Hypernova asking about penalties. As it stands, Mike David, Hamster and Sean's 0 penalties all around. However, Mike David 2 warnings, Sean's 1 warning, Hamster no warning. So as it stands, Hamster is falling in favour of the penalty system. Mike David on the brink of a penalty. Sean's has got at least 1 more mistake available with 2 laps to go, and Hamster is really struggling for grip. Gap now down to 1.4. Mike David starting to ease away
to actually
from
half
Hamster.
a second for me.
And Sean is now
0.3
in the brink of taking P4 off Hamster here. He's going to have to seriously consider and learn from what Mike David did on the last lap. Will he hold on to the outside and then try and push Sean's a little bit onto the inside so he has a bit of a run here? We're going to see what he does, and Hamster actually holds his line, and I think the reason why is because Sean's is just going to be able to ease past, and Hamster from P3 now down to P5. That's really unfortunate.
And very unfortunate for Hamster there, but Hamster trying to make the one-stop work, and it is working. But it's really close, it has cost him a bit of time.
It's really close though, because as it stands, Sean's on those fresh soft tyres, and you've got Mike David on the very worn mediums, and you've got here 9 laps versus 5 laps softs, and Mike David now on the brink of losing P3 himself, and he's going to want to hold on to this position for dear life from P15 on the grid, and Sean's is going to be like, now get out of my way, this is my position, I deserve to be here, as KGS Leftover makes another mistake going out of Castle, hence the yellow flags. Fingers crossed not going to cause too many issues to the people up front, as Shadow gets past, no problem, that's just Revolutionary. Mike David the next person to get through, but everyone is back up and running with green flags. Sean's going to have to hold on here, and he loses the rear end a little bit.
Sean's made a bit of a mistake there.
He's really pushing, isn't he, Sean's? He's really, really pushing.
Yeah,
but
he's trying his hardest.
Make note, he did not get fastest lap, though. He got a 42.4, whereas Vickolous got a 41.8, so there's still no fastest lap awarded here.
Yeah, if SF1 Sean's, he needs to not push as hard. Because if he keeps pushing as hard as he is, his rear tyres are going to overheat, and he's going to lose time. Hamster's also got DRS here on SF1 Sean's going through the detection point.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this one Going to be interesting to see how this one develops, as we have PWR Hamster now 1.1 seconds back, so I think he's just going to miss DRS detection. But one person that won't is Sean's. He's going to go around the inside as Mike tries to defend the inside, and he's going to go around the outside with Red Bull. It's now a Red Bull 2-3. Will Mike David, after Mike David now is surely going to be on an ERS save, and he's going to try and hold on within DRS because he might be able to make the move and take the podium out of Sean's hands on this very final lap of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix Division 2 Synergy PWR People's World Racing. And we're turn 2, Sean's definitely going a little bit wide through 2, so he's starting to feel the pressure. Surely Mike isn't going to go for the overtake here, but he wants to get as close as he can to the Red Bull because he's still within a certain territory here to go for it. Surely the softs are now going to be worst for Sean, so fingers crossed Mike might be able to keep as close as he possibly can, but he's broke far too early going through 6, and he's going to lose buckets of time here, and Sean's is starting to pull Mike so on the brink
Mike's
of getting
just
that
out of
podium
that
for
second
2:15.
gap.
And he's just struggling to hold on, and I think Sean's is going to be on his way to a P3 here.
P3.
But make note, PWR Shadow is now, we're going to be cutting back to PWR Shadow as he's now coming through the final selection of corners here, as he actually just overtakes a lap car. I believe that might be the lap car KGS leftover actually. And here we have PWR Shadow going down the main straight here. Make note, Hamster also now getting on the brink of P4 here, so he could get at least some redemption here. But going down the main straight here, what a race from the Racing Point indeed. PWR Shadow, 3 second places in a row and 2 fastest laps rather. And he's going to be on his way to take 25 points at the Baku race. The winner, PWR Shadow, crosses the line and takes 25 points with Resolutionary Baby. Very disappointed, I feel, with P2. She was on her way to taking a race win on only a second race in Synergy PWR, but in the end, it's a solid P2 finish, and that will be very happy, I think, indeed. P3, though, will end up going to SF1. Sean's a 2-stop that worked on the very final lap, I feel, pulling away from Mike David and extending that gap. But it's going to go side by side here for P4 as PWR Hamster is getting close to Mike David, but Mike David manages to hold on, and only a 1/10 of a second separating Mike David from Hamster. And Purple Haze, we didn't talk about her a lot. She ended up getting a drive-through right at the start of this race, but it's going to be a solid P6 finish for the Mercedes runner. Congratulations to her. I think that is a very, very good race from her. HP Suppressor will be following though in P7. HP Suppressor will be following in P7 though, 21 seconds back actually from the rest of the field. And another person that will be, I think, relatively happy here could be Sufyan, but Sufyan will be going across the line in P8. With PWR Infamous in P9 and Tyre Vespa only 6/10 of a second back, and will have DRS here. Does he have enough DRS to close the gap? He does not, because he's going to be opening the DRS with 0% ERS, so he's not going to be able to get anywhere near the Renault, I feel. And we're going to be ending here with P9 and P10, and a very good points finish in the end for Vespa, I feel. KGS leftover. I think he'll be a bit disappointed. He made a few mistakes in this race. In fact, I think he's actually finished here with quite a few stops in the end. I think he ended up having a 2-stop strategy against his will, I think. Another person who ended up having more stops than necessary, Paul Davey, as well, finishing P13 in the end, but he ends up finishing with 3-stop strategy. As KGS leftover comes across the line, we are finishing this race. I have a headache after that one.
A little bit of a headache, I should say, but that season so far. I know we've only had 4 races, but very good. Well,
very good indeed, and there he is.
Shadow.
PWR Shadow on the top step of the podium. Finally, it took him 4 attempts, 3 second place finishes and 2 fastest laps, but the number 80 Racing Point on the top step, and a fairly reasonable result for Red Bull, 2-3 in the end. It was looking pretty dire at one point after mistakes from both of them, and I think they'll be a bit disappointed they didn't get the 1-2 in the end, but Shadow was there when they faltered, and it's a great result overall from Racing Point. And a big shout out to the other drivers as well, including Purple Haze, as I said, after getting that drive through, finishing where she started. And season's best finish for Mike, of course, equal best for Hamster, and equal best for Sean's, finishing in P3. But as it is over, we'll take a look at the final result, pending penalties, of course, on Monday night. PWR Shadow finishing on P1 with Resolutionary in P2, and SF1 Sean's in P3, Mike David P4, PWR Hamster finishes in P5 with Purple Haze in P6, HP Suppressor a little bit further down the order than he'd want to be. He finishes in P7 with Sufyan, the debutant, in P8. A little bit disappointed considering he started in P5. PWR Infamous in the Renault finishes P9. Not a bad result from him considering he started in P17, and Tyre Vespa manages to get that point on the very, very final few laps. KGS leftovers and a second pit stop for him, finishes him in P11, and goes to Nebula in P12 and 13. DNFs in Richie Evans, George Vickolous, Mongdog, and Strategic Herpes. But of course, that is it for Synergy Pools World Racing for tonight. We are back as normal from 7:30 for the Division 1 race. Self and from the rest of the team here at Synergy Pools World Racing, the media team wishes you a very good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.